It's not every day you get 5 spellcasters in one battle, but that's what we got here. As you can see, the Spice Girls, we've got Archmage of Fire, Mage of Metal, and Mage of Light, leading the High Elves into the Tomb Kings, opposed by Kotep and a Lich Priest of Death. So all the magic going to be unleashed here, as is plenty of missiles into these Rangers, which, of course, lacking shields, are going to take a ton of damage from the Skeleton Archers opposing them. Got a front line of Skeleton Warriors as well. Looks like some Sepulchral Stalkers in the back, Regiment around Eyes of the Desert. And some Neokara Horsemen, yes, out on the flank there. A couple of Ushabti Grebos as well, including the Chosen of the Gods. Skeleton Spears out on the flanks for the Elves. Front line of Rangers running in. We've got a second line of Shadow Walkers, and then the 3 casters, plus some tasteful Reavers out on the flanks. Tomb Kings taking a nice defensive position here. Up on the hill, they've got some woods on their flanks, which will cover somewhat from the missiles, whatever units choose to move through there. Right now, the Rangers are getting into combat, having taken significant damage from the missiles, but one does find a gap and gets into the back line here. Starts cutting up those Skeleton Archers. And yeah, you can see the Shadow Walkers are going to come forward and start to trade individually into the Blessed Legion. We see a nice Burning Head unleashed here as well from the Archmage of Fire. She's got Burning Head and looks like, yeah, Flaming Sword of Ruin, as the counterfire is yet to land there on the Shadow Walkers. The Light Mage here, Metal Mage rather, is just Plague of Rust, makes sense. And then the Light Mage is just Nets. Kotep himself rocking the Incantation Protection, Cursed Blades, Sandstorm Bound as well. Yeah, those Shadow Walkers basically perform like Way Watchers when combined with that Plague of Rust. You can see that armor just tearing away at the Eyes of the Desert, and then the Shadow Walkers' poisoned arrows can just deal the damage they need to, get the work done. They now turn and shoot something else, as the Eyes of the Desert kind of pull back there, drawn a bead perhaps on Cavalry Mages as they charge in. They're going to now pull back, not wanting to take that engagement. These Brave Rangers also are soaking up a ton of skeletons, have managed to do some damage. Not a complete waste, but yeah, the Ushabti summon being used here, a little bit off-center from where the Shadow Walkers are. Doesn't get the attack order to move in before it looks like the Archmages cohort there will get into the back, tie down those Ushabti for the time being. Lyran Reavers looking to maybe finish off Eyes of the Desert. They do have charge defense. Those giant snake statue things, whatever. Yeah, they have charge defense, of course, against cavalries. They will be relatively immune to this with their armor and everything else, but a beautiful cinematic shot as a couple do fall to the spears of the Reavers here. Plenty of Reavers fall in that combat as well, and they are eventually going to get routed away. Little Flaming Sword boosts the missile damage of the Shadow Walkers straight up. Also gives them flaming magic damage, of course. Try and shoot through whatever targets. Kotep actually does not have Flammable, which is he's the only Tomb King Lord not to have Flammable. He's also on his little, yeah, what is this thing? I forget. The Casket of Souls, that's right. So he does have a pretty good artillery attack. It's got some value so far. Nothing overly crazy, but still kind of holding out in his little defensive position over on the far side. The Elves have actually managed to break and crumble away a lot of units here. The Archmage of Death also looks like doesn't even have spells. He's just here for the scroll to give some extra Winds of Magic Reserve and power recharge. Eyes of the Desert also, or sorry, Chosen the Gods here. Eyes of the Desert gone. Chosen the Gods hanging back. Continuing to fire in. Yeah, that scatter shot doesn't do quite as much against the loose formation of the Shadow Walkers. Their hoods and masks, of course, giving them a style bonus as well. Very important. Nice Burning Head cuts across remaining skeleton units. Will that be enough to finish off their leadership? Well, it looks like one spear definitely gets hurt pretty badly there, but the Shadow Walkers are starting to run a little bit low on ammunition and models. They have taken quite a bit of HP damage. But the one Ushabti Great Bow here, the Regiment of Renown, Chosen of the Gods, gets charged down by the Reavers. And then the High Elf single entities in particular will actually be able to put some hurt in. Although their weapon strength is quite low, they have decent overall combat stats and can fight over time against those Ushabti and do some damage to them. But at the same time, Neokara Horsemen, no idea. I guess they've been chasing around the Reavers over on the far side. They eventually won out and now are going to fight Yeah, these Shadow Walkers is a pretty bad situation for the Shadow Walkers to be in. Still have some ammunition left to give. We'll maybe see a net here. Yep, looks like the Light Mage comes through. Is going to drop a critical net here on this Nehekara Horseman. Let these other two Shadow Walkers escape. This other one actually, now that the charge bonus is gone, the Shadow Walker's superior combat stats can come into play. I mean, they do have much better attack and defense. So as long as they're not getting bullied in terms of mass and charge bonus, they actually can trade pretty well into these Nehekara Horsemen. I'm getting close to watch the desperate scrap of these Elven Ranger types. Their dual swords, poisoned of course. Cutting down the Nehekara Horseman. Don't ask me how you poison the skeleton. But not thinking about it too hard. Kotep's also plinking away, and I guess because of the spell casting, it's showing a super short range of what he's trying to throw down there. But yeah, him having so much ammunition this late into the game is going to be quite dangerous. It'll be quite tough to overcome. Yeah, it looks like the Elven single entities actually here, the mages. One of them ran off to go try and help elsewhere, I believe. Yeah, the Light Mage. Which means 2 on this unit here. Yeah, with the Reaver Sport evaporating. And these other 2 are not able to actually finish off the Shabti Great Bows here, which could be a pretty critical error. We'll see. But at the same time, the Shadow Walkers cutting up those Skeleton Spearmen, no problem. They did finish off the Nehekara Horsemen as well, so they should be able to get back in the fight. And with stock, at least, you know, ideally, they'll be able to hide from the Shabti Great Bows until they get relatively close. So let's fast forward as both players kind of pull back, reassess, get ready for a last-ditch skirmish phase. I say last-ditch from a balanced power perspective, as the Elves are quite far behind. This is a Conquest game as well. Both players actually forgot. So Elves going to go capture the objective here and get that taken up. Go to force the Tomb Kings over into that position to try and capture it. Dictates a little bit as sort of where the High Elves can expect Tomb Kings to move. But yeah, right now the stock doing some serious work as the Shadow Walkers are not able to be targeted by the Shabti Great Bows. You can see that little eye icon there, preventing them, again, from being shot. So, continue fast forwarding. Ooh, nice tactical Plague of Rust there. The Mage of Metal takes a miscast and takes some shots for her trouble. That's going to rout her away. But the volleys in response, almost able to finish off the Shabti Great Bow. Incantation of Protection, Physical Resistance, trying to offset the loss of armor there. But I think it's enough. You can see that, yeah, the High Elf player here, I forget who this was, XMT member. We'll see after the fact. I believe Olaf the Moose. Anyway, yeah, kind of conserving his ammo, letting the crumbling damage do the work for him, even though it does take a while. He's still got plenty of time left in terms of the Conquest mechanic, so he definitely can just hang back for the time being and try and, you know, let the crumbling do as much damage as possible. Yeah, the next kind of tactical strike here is not going to do as much damage. Unfortunately, that Metal Mage routed and is not coming back with under 300 HP, or not likely to at least. So, yeah, maybe one more Burning Head if you can get enough Winds of Magic for it. Yeah, it looks like exactly as predicted. Gonna call that up. A pretty quick cast. Maybe could have dodged it, but unfortunately was not able to. That is going to double hit also as he kind of runs forward and dodges into it. But the second unit there, that's some serious leadership and HP damage. All those units are wanting to crumble out. And then the last few volleys being used here. Incantation of Protection, once again going to offset that. You can see immediately Olaf ceases firing. Might have still dropped a couple of volleys there. It still does some damage. So you're not totally losing out on those arrows, but not as efficient as it could be. The Fire Mage charges in. The Light Mage charges Kotep. Few more arrows land, and it's a desperate last-ditch attempt to stave off army losses, pretty much at this point. Although, you know, from a balance perspective, this one full health unit of Shadow Walkers, ooh, Kotep pulls up his Skull Storm to prevent them from charging in. They do manage to actually mostly dodge that. And the Skull Storm, in fact, is going to run back the other way and kill the Skeleton Spears. Oh, yeah, that's why Vortex spells are the best, because you never know what it's going to do, Vortex spells and abilities. But anyway, yeah, that actually was pretty bad, doing all that damage to the Skeleton Spear. The one Shadow Walker hangs back and they go after that Lich Priest there. They've got an anti-infantry bonus in melee and plenty of melee attack to be able to cut down that Skeleton Caster. So yeah, a few more volleys being loosed onto Kotep. Does some damage to him. Mage looking like she's maybe lining up for a rear charge here. as the skeleton warriors. Yeah. Looking pretty good. They are crumbling. I say looking good. Looking good for the high elves, I should say. Skeletons are slowly crumbling. Little hammer and anvil here for the caster, and the Shadow Walkers definitely put in some serious work. Curious to see their value at the end of the day. Yeah, this one's like 2,000 damage value. This one's about 1,500 there. So pretty good stuff. The wild swing in the balance power all the way back to the High Elves' favor, and that will be a victory for Olaf. And we'll soak in Kotep's final moments as he faces off against Shadow Walkers. Yeah, very impressive performance, I have to say. I love the combination in particular of the Shadow Walkers and Plague of Rust. Definitely a strong combination. And, you know, Nets gives it even that little bit of extra layer of utility. Is it worth justifying the extra cost of bringing an extra caster? Maybe. And in addition to, you know, casting spells, these high elf casters manage to, at least the light mage, contribute some value in the battle as well. And then, of course, Burning Head, always good, especially against chaff-centric factions, but just generally one of the best damage spells in the game against infantry. So, yeah, makes sense to a degree why you need all three of these, especially in a build setup like this. The synergy with the Shadow Walkers, yeah, absolutely beautiful. 2,200, 15,000 damage dealt, 114 kills on one. Very, very impressive stuff. The Reavers, nice support cavalry, don't get a ton of value in and of themselves, but tactically do what they need to. One Ranger that gets into the archers in the backline actually manages to get some pretty good damage. 192 kills, 12,000 damage dealt. This one, good job cutting through the chaff, even if it didn't strictly pay for itself. This one did a pretty good job as well. Some of them got more lit up by the archers, but you kind of expect that to a degree. But, yeah, overall, very impressive performance by Olaf. Really like this build. I do like to build on the opposite side as well. Not sure if the Lich Priest for the extra winds of magic is necessarily worth it. He did cast quite a bit of spells. Kotep ultimately doesn't get a ton of damage value raw. 10,000 damage dealt, 133 kills. Pretty good overall. I don't know exactly how much in that kit he costs. Probably a little bit more, but yeah, most of the elites here did a pretty good job. That Screaming Skull Catapult definitely landed some hits before it got shut down hard by the archers. And, yeah, overall, just the archers, the Tomb Kings, although, you know, very impressive damage initially, ultimately didn't get the targets down that they needed to. I don't know. I mean, as soon as the Shadow Walkers revealed themselves, they definitely should have started focusing on them. Again, that loose formation does help a little bit. Do Shadow Walkers actually have physical resistance as well? I forget. I don't think so, but let's all check together here on these missile infantry. Okay, no missile resistance. So, yeah, shooting them is definitely one of the best things you can do, even with that loose formation. I wasn't paying super close attention to where the Tomb King's archers were prioritizing their shots, but yeah, definitely as soon as those Shadow Walkers pop up, just try and target them with basically all the shooting you have, right? A loose formation does definitely do a lot of work, but yeah, that's it for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.